Hi everyone, today we are here with Jerrel, the candidate for Minneapolis mayor. And before we start, could you give us a brief introduction?
I sure can. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the youth who are hosting the interview. I definitely appreciate it. Um, my name is Jerrel Perry. I'm running to serve as mayor this November 2nd in Minneapolis. There's so many things that are coming ahead right now. Usually, platforms are two, three issues, but we have so many things, whether we're talking about education investments, youth and young adult outreach investments, housing and home ownership investments, business, small business investments, public safety is a very big issue this year, and that includes public health, climate justice. There's all kinds of things that fit into public safety. So, like I said, there's a whole lot ahead of us that we have to tackle. But if we come together, there's no limit to what we can accomplish. So I look forward to getting things done. I look forward to serving the people of Minneapolis. Our lives and our livelihoods depend on this election. The lives of our children depend on this election. And the very future of our city depends on our votes this November 2nd. So that's where we're at. And again, thank you for having me.
What is your relation with Minneapolis, and did you grow up there or did you come at a later time?
I'm born and raised in the Twin Cities. I've been on the south side of Minneapolis for the last 7 years. That's where I've been raising my family. I have two beautiful little girls, 13-year-old and a 5-year-old. Um, so yeah, we're over there, and just seeing what the streets look like. We were walking down the street giving out water the other day, and just seeing people laying on the sidewalks, literally laying on the sidewalks. There's moms out there with babies, car seats. There's just so much pain. And again, I feel like that's something that we can address if we bring people together. But we have to have a will to do that. And that's what I intend to bring to the office this November 2nd.
Can you talk a little bit about your campaign and how that's going for you right now?
I sure can. My campaign, we've been up and running for about 8 months now. We are in desperate need of volunteers. So if anybody out there can donate an hour or two here or there to help do door knocking, flyer distribution, even stand in solidarity at community events. We've been supporting. There's so many groups that already have boots on the ground. So it's not that we have to figure out what is needed in these communities or what is needed for certain issues. People have been doing the work. Many of them have been doing the work for years. And all they need is the support of the city leadership and the resources to accomplish the goals that are set out in front of them. And again, that's something that I plan to do day one. I've been forging relationships. We don't have a big budget. We haven't been receiving corporate business donations. We've been focusing on the voters because that's where we want our accountability to be, is to the voters of Minneapolis, the residents of Minneapolis. So if God wants it to happen, it's going to happen, whether we have $1,000 budget or $100,000 budget. So again, we're just trying to bring people together and build relationships, not bank accounts. Build relationships within community. That's where our safety is going to come from, and that's where us coming together to lead our city forward is going to come from, through those invaluable relationships forged within community.
If elected mayor, how will your policies affect youth like us?
That's a very good question. Um, and that's something that I'm still trying to figure out because I'm again forging these relationships, even participating in this interview with you all, hoping to get some perspectives directly from the youth. It's one thing to have a vision for something, but to hear that directly from where it's needed, that's a whole different thing. Nobody knows what youth need like the youth. I've heard youth and young adult outreach programs, whether that's fully funding the Minneapolis Parks and Recreation Centers, after school programs, even making pathways coming from school. Once you come out of high school, I would like to have direct pathways into public service positions, whether that's teaching, EMS, paramedics, law enforcement is a big one. We can have grants that bring youth right out of high school into the public service position that they would like to go into. Even entrepreneurship, doing financial fitness training, knowing how to do your taxes. That's one thing that I did not learn in high school is how to do the taxes. And that's something that I'll have to do for the rest of my life. So that's something that I feel like the youth should be learning as well. And then again, just getting youth perspective sorry about that, and just getting the youth perspectives to see what they feel is needed and necessary to support them in and through their success. So if you ladies have any ideas, I would be more than happy to hear them. So please,
Do you support reparations for the American descendants of slavery?
if I can't hear you,
Do you support reparations for the American descendants of
still can't
slavery?
hear you.
Do you support reparations for the American descendants of slavery?
Is there a problem with the mic? Can you hear us?
I can't hear anything.
I'm sorry, can you hear us now?
It's saying that your mic is muted on this side.
Can you
Can
hear
you
us
hear us right
now?
now?
Now it says it's unmuted, but I still can't hear you. I'm not sure what's going on.
Give me one moment.
Go ask.
Hello? Can
Yes,
you hear me,
sir.
Miss?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay. Can
There,
you
it
guys
looks
hear?
like their mute symbol is still on. It was going on and off, but it's muted right now.
Can you hear us right now?
Now it's off, but I still can't hear them. Can you hear them?
I can hear him. Okay. Here you go.
Technical difficulty. That's one thing about technology. It's something you can't always control. Okay, now you're muted again. I see the mute symbol. There we go.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Do you
Sorry about
support
that.
reparations for the American descendants of slavery?
I do support reparations for American descendants of slavery. And again, that's going to come through the form of investments. Reparations is not something that we have to look backwards for because we all know the details of that. So I would like to look forward and focus on, again, the investments, whether that be in education, in housing through home ownership, small business ownership, public safety, pollution control. Pollution is one of the biggest things that has hurt the black community, specifically the American descendants of slaves. And I feel like if we make those needed and necessary investments, that will move us a great distance forward.
Do you have any plans to work on police reform in Minneapolis?
Absolutely. Again, public safety is one of the biggest concerns that I'm hearing from residents all over the city. Old, young, white, black, everybody. You know, everybody wants to feel safe in their city. Police reform for me would start with putting transparency and accountability measures in place. Whether we're talking about body cams, we currently have a body cam mandate, but it is not being followed. So that would be something that it would be mandated. When you work at Target, you don't get to choose what rules you are gonna and not follow. So we have to make sure that we put rules in place, we put measurements in place to be able to see exactly what that is that's going on. And again, when something goes wrong, we're going to be transparent about the situation. Body cams will be released instantly, especially to a family that is involved in any encounter. And the mandate, we have the city charter currently mandates 888 officers for Minneapolis Police Department. only 10% of them live in the city. So that leaves 800 coming from other cities within our state. So we will make a residency mandate to have those officers coming directly from the community, which will even assist the youth because they will have mentors, they will have role models to model after within the community, and we'll bring over $100 million back into our city's economy that is being taken directly from the Minneapolis taxpayers. And it's going out into other cities. It's funding their schools, it's funding their property taxes, their businesses, and again, stimulating their local economies. So that's something we will bring back to the city of Minneapolis. And that $100 million annually, that is only the officers. That does not include the whole department. So we will make sure that there's a mandate to work in law enforcement residency mandate.
You talked a little bit about public safety. What are your plans to improve public safety in the city of Minneapolis?
One of my main objectives, people keep bringing up Yes for Minneapolis. Yes for Minneapolis came about after I formulated my campaign. The Department of Public Safety is something that I had in my purview. And again, I took that directly from residents. Again, public safety is all encompassing. It starts with education. It includes housing. It includes uh, business opportunities. Public safety includes climate justice, environmental protection. All of that is wrapped into public safety, public health. Even whether we're talking about COVID-19, which is still going on, we got the Delta variant that is looking very, very not good at the moment, according to the CDC and the Minnesota Department of Health. So that's something that we're going to have to tackle, and we're going to have to keep going at that. But there's also other things. You know, we have opioid epidemic that's still going on in our city. We have a drug epidemic, period. All kinds of different drugs that need to be addressed within our city. I'm looking forward to forging a partnership with the Jeremiah program, the Jeremiah House that is in Minneapolis, with Minnesota Teen Challenge. Again, these are organizations that are already established. They have been doing the work, the outreach, and just helping people get back on their feet, get away from drugs, get on their feet. We look forward to having housing first because a lot of this, even homelessness, people without shelter, that is also part of public safety. Again, that goes back to housing. So we will initiate a housing first initiative to make sure that we can get everyone off of the streets and into housing with wraparound social services, including mental health, drug treatment, drug counseling, all those things to make sure that we can help people get on their feet and into stable housing, stable employment.
Especially with COVID-19, the population of homelessness in Minneapolis is expanding. What are your plans to prevent and to decrease barriers to housing?
Okay, again, that goes back to the Housing First initiative. Um, right now, we are still working with finances that were included with the eviction moratorium. So we do have access to that. There's still federal funding coming in. We received $135 million last May, and we will receive another 135 million this coming May. And that money is allowed to be used to address public health, public safety. So housing is something that we can definitely use those dollars for. And again, that comes in the form of housing first, getting people off of the streets and into housing with the wraparound services to make sure that once we get them into stable housing, they have employment, they have the resources to maintain that housing. And at the same time, we have to make sure that people that are currently housed do not lose their housing in this process. So we have to put the resources, provide the funding to make sure that we can keep families off of the streets in Minneapolis.
What would you say makes you different from the other candidates?
What would make me different from the other candidates? Lived experience. Even when it comes to homelessness, my family and I, we've been homeless before. Fortunately for us, we had the finances to have a hotel room temporarily. But not everybody has that privilege. Not everybody has that opportunity. But even experiencing that makes me look at it in a totally different way. And it's not just the homelessness, there's a lot of different issues. Even talking about the drug addiction. My family's dealt with drug addiction before. And even the programs that are currently used, the methadone program, we have to back away from stuff like that and move more towards a holistic healing kind of situation to where we're addressing the whole person and not just the drug. Because when we're replacing one drug with another drug, all that does is create a whole new addiction. And that's something we're trying to move people away from, help them get away from, and help them stay away from. So, again, providing those resources, partnering with people like Teen Challenge, the Jeremiah House, the Jeremiah program. Catholic Charities even does a lot of outreach in those areas. But there are many, many resources, and we have to bring those to one table and make sure that Minneapolis residents has access to all of those things. And again, I'm going to go back to God does not call the qualified, He qualifies the called. So it's not going to be a bunch of degrees or this other. It's going to be lived experience that gets the city of Minneapolis out of the current situation we are in. I did go to MCTC, downtown Minneapolis. I studied law enforcement. I studied urban education. And those are two of the main areas that we're going to have to tackle on day one. Day one, because again, a lot of the problems that we are looking at right now can be dealt with through education, through educating the public, through educating our children, through educating our youth, and even adults. We've lacked in that area for so long. We have a lot of catching up to do. There's an economist, Art Rolnick, who did a study. He's right at the University of Minnesota. He said for every dollar that is invested into early childhood education, there's a $17 return for the community. So early childhood education is something that we must invest in. We have no choice but to invest in that. And that gives every child in the city of Minneapolis the opportunity to go to school, age 3 and 4 and on up. We have to do it. Our literacy rates right now are so low. We're trying to partner with the National Parents Union to petition Superintendent Graff to put in a student literacy plan. There's a lot of different things that go into it. But again, there's no bad ideas as into what's going to get our city moving forward. We have to put all the ideas on the table and come together and go through them and decide what fits and what does not. And we have to adjust accordingly and move our city forward.
For those wondering, when do polls open?
Oh, I can't hear again.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Oh,
It's muted now. It's showing that it's muted. Now it's unmuted.
For those wondering, when do polls
Uh, is there something that I can do? Audio.
culture.
Can you hear us now?
I can't hear you. I'm not sure if you can still hear me.
Alright, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
What is going on? Go coach your hands
Okay.
up for something. Go coach your hands.
Come on, StreamYard. Help us out, StreamYard.
Hello, can you hear us?
There's like here, I'll try to hear.
Hi, can you hear us now?
I still cannot hear any. Now I can hear you over here.
For those wondering, when do the polls open and close?
The polls open and close. Early voting starts September 12th. So if you want COVID-19, like I said, the Delta variant is out. So we have absentee ballots. You can call and request mail ballot and vote from the privacy of your own home for those that don't feel comfortable going up to the polls. But the polls will be open even election day. You can register November 2nd. right on the spot. So none of us have any excuse not to vote. Like I said, every single vote is going to matter. This is going to be the most important election of our lifetime, literally. Our lives and our livelihoods depend on it. The lives of our children depend on it. And again, the future of our city depends on every single vote in the city of Minneapolis. Um, 50% is what's required, 50% plus one vote. So it could literally be one single vote that decides the future of our city. We have ranked choice voting in Minneapolis. You get to choose up to three candidates, first, second, and third choice. Please give me any one of them. They would be greatly appreciated, but of course, number one would be preferred. But again, every single vote counts. We have to have everyone out there. If you cannot vote, please make sure that you have at least 10 people that go and vote in your place to make sure that your voice is heard and your family is represented on Election Day this November 2nd.
Where could our listeners find you and learn more about your policies and what you're about?
My website, our website, the campaign website is perryforthepeople.com. We have a Facebook page, Perry for the People of Minneapolis, Instagram, Perry for the People of Minneapolis. And my phone number is on both of those sites. So people can call me, they can text me. If you would like me to come out and speak to a group, we're willing to do anything to connect to the people of Minneapolis. Again, this is the most important election of our lifetime. We have to bring people together, and I am willing to do whatever is needed and necessary to make people feel comfortable, not only voting, but voting for Perry for the people of Minneapolis.
It was very nice talking to you today, Mr. Perry, Perry for the People. Thank you for joining us today. We encourage everyone listening to check out his campaign and vote when the time comes. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for the opportunity, ladies. I appreciate your time. You all have a good rest of the day.
Same to you.
All right. Bye bye.